Hey everyone, and welcome to 1.21 Gigawatts. I am Peter, and I am joined with a full house today. I've got Matt here,
Hey, what's up?
got Connor here,
Hey everyone.
and Tim's also sort of crawled out of bed to join us.
Hi, how's it going?
We talk about movies on this show, and this is a special occasion. Of course, we're all DC fans. Three of us specifically do a comics podcast, DC Comics. This will also be on the audio feed for that podcast for listeners to that show. But we are going to talk about Wonder Woman, which is the newest DC movie. If you have not checked out our infamous reviews of Suicide Squad and Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice, they were hate-fueled rants that lasted about 2 hours each. There was lots of harsh language and, hatred, quite frankly.
Yeah, let's just say that we might have gotten a notice that said our videos weren't
Family friendly.
family friendly,
Yeah.
but that's what happens. A little bit of a spoiler, by the bright look on all of our faces, I don't think you can expect that today.
No. Wait, well, you get that again in November.
Yeah. Wait until we get to Justice League. But yeah, I am obviously. Yeah, we'll do a little bit spoiler free in case you were wondering if it was worth. Because honestly, after the last couple of DC movies, I don't blame you if you were waiting to see
No.
what people were thinking before you went and seen this.
So I'm sitting here with my arms folded, and anytime a trailer came on for Wonder Woman before any movie, so Alien Covenant, I'm trying to think of some other more recent movies, I would sit there like this, like I'm not. That movie's gonna suck.
Yeah, I'm not
Right.
getting excited. I've done this twice
yeah.
already. I'm not being
This
fooled.
was the
I-
problem. I thought the
Yeah.
trailers looked pretty good. I was like, oh, I like the look of this, but I don't
Oh,
trust them. And
no,
obviously
'cause
then
I
the
got-
music comes in at the end, and I'm like, screw you. I'm out.
Oh no, Connor, I got fooled. I got fooled by the Suicide Squad trailer, thinking this might be fun and not complete and total
Yeah, I know.
garbage.
That was the problem. I was like, this
So-
looks good, but I don't trust you.
I wasn't
And I
getting
wasn't-
tricked.
Yeah, I wasn't even really planning on seeing this right away because of the those same reasons, but it had such good positive buzz and stuff about it that I actually started really getting excited about it
Well,
once those reviews and stuff
Oh,
started
yeah,
That's
it
it.
was
coming
the same. Yeah, 'cause
Yeah.
I was going to go on my day off on Wednesday, but
Yeah.
instead I was like, nah, I'm going straight after work.
Do you know,
Yes.
that's the thing. I think. I mean, obviously, me and Matt were planning on seeing it because we were at least us two were going to do the
Yeah.
review this weekend, right? But here's the thing: is we were kind of just expecting the worst. I remember what it felt like seeing that first day of reviews when the embargo lifted for Batman v Superman, and just like, oh my god, it's like 30% on Rotten Tomatoes. What the
It
hell?
was
was an
worse after that
avalanche.
early reactions as well that kind of went, oh, maybe this won't be atrocious.
Yeah. And then
that website's too mean.
oh, do you know what's funny is the studios were complaining this week that the bad reviews for like Pirates and Baywatch like hurt their expectations before opening weekend. Yeah, but no one's talking about the fact that the expectation for Wonder Woman shot up by like 40 million after the Rotten Tomatoes scores went up. But with Suicide Squad, I remember not even having like a feeling beforehand. I was just kind of waiting to see, and then I was almost laughing when it was like 30% again. I was like, oh my god, what, can they not get anything right?
I think it's in the 20s.
It's in the 20s now. Oh, jeez.
I think so. I think,
Yeah,
I think they
it
both
got
are. I think BVS is like 28 and Suicide Squad is like
Yeah.
24.
I just
something like
remember what they started at, like when they first went
Yeah,
up, because that was when I was really paying attention, was when they first went up. But so lo and behold, Wonder Woman's embargo lifts, and the reviews it's like 96%, and I'm just like, wait, no, something's wrong. This is a joke. Someone's playing a practical joke on me. They're trying to make me excited. Stop
At
it.
that one point, it was at
I thought there's
97.
Yeah. I thought there was 4 reviews in, and that's why I had 96%. I was like, well, 3/4.
And,
I guess that's
and all
96.
the reviews were like Jeff Johns.
Sorry. Can we pause for a second? 3/4, I guess that's 96.
Well, I'm not good at math. We know this. Where have you been?
Yeah,
So-
calm down. Good.
Oh,
Wilson.
now it's sitting. So now it's sitting at 93. I just pulled up current
What-
as we record.
Which is insane because
But-
reviews kept coming in. It got to the point where there was like 40,
Yeah.
50 reviews. It was still at like 95, 96. And I said, you know what? This may actually finish in. Because typically when a movie embargo ends, it'll start higher than it'll end up, and it'll drip a bit as more people review
Yeah.
it and stuff. But it got to a point where I was like, this may actually finish in the 90s. This might not drop below. And honestly, like, had this finished in the 70s, I'd have thought, oh, this is a win. Like, after the last
yeah.
couple of movies.
Yeah, definitely.
Easy. If it 75% is, what's the threshold for certified fresh? Because
Uh,
that's
I think it's 80%, but with
Okay.
Or maybe it's not. I think it's 60%, but there has to be at least 80 reviews.
Okay.
That's the qualifier. There has to be X number of reviews for it to be certified.
Yeah. Had it been
Do they
certified
take our
fresh,
reviews
that
into
was
account?
huge.
Unfortunately not, Tim. They're missing out.
Okay.
They should, though. Rotten Tomatoes, I mean, Extended Branch, we do these a lot.
Yeah, I'll submit them happily if they want to take them.
Yeah.
Take our scores. I'll happily
Yes, of course.
submit them. But yeah, so obviously, a few days before it came out, embargo lifts. All of a sudden, it's like, oh man, this might actually be good. I need to brace myself. And I'd heard a couple of varying things and whatever, but I just went in at that point. I was like, okay, let's be hopeful. I know I hate the main theme, that stupid electric cello thing. that one, yes. I know I hate that, but otherwise this might end up actually being really great. So we went in, and I am happy to report for the first time in this universe, as a DC fan, that I left the movie theater feeling happy, feeling like, oh man, that felt like a superhero movie. I was almost having like the single tear of happiness as she was like storming no man's land, and it felt like the most heroic thing anyone's ever goddamn done.
Oh, yeah. Do you know what?
Yep.
This is it. Like, it's you've taken this inherently good character and gone, right, we still want the drab, gritty reality stuff, and they've gone, right, we'll put it in World War One. That's about as awful as human history gets, and you can still have that, and they can still be a hero.
Well, yeah, because that's the thing. They make her the shining light in the middle of all darkness. She's the thing that's going to change the fact that it's shitty and awful, and that's what gives you the sense of hope. And it's just like, what we're not going to do here, I'm going to make a warning to everyone here right now. We're not going to use this as an opportunity to shit on Batman v Superman, because I know there's a part of us that all wants to do that.
Well,
We're going to do it a little bit.
I'm not taking part then. I have to leave.
He didn't agree to that. But I think one of the key things here is, after Batman v Superman, we all sort of sat here and went, at what point in that movie did either one of those characters, did Batman or Superman, do anything remotely heroic that made us feel like, yeah, they're being Batman or they're being Superman?
Nope. And also, here's the other thing, is I get a lot of crap for Man of Steel, and, oh, well, it's Superman on his first, adventure out. This is Wonder Woman's. And she was still able to know right from wrong, and you don't throw people into buildings and cause mass chaos.
Do you know what?
You act like a hero.
That's actually worse, though, because Superman, he's grown up. He's had these morals instilled in him by the Kents that he knows right from wrong. Wonder Woman's literally been on an island somewhere and learned everything from books and this one society. She hasn't seen any of this atrocities.
I'll argue that maybe the Kents in this universe didn't teach them all those morals.
Okay,
but...
well, that's a problem in itself.
Yeah.
Well, exactly. But I'm just saying, like, for all the arguments that these other movies have had when I've crapped on them and said there's things I didn't like, it's almost as if the people behind Wonder Woman were like, well, we're just going to tell a superhero story, and we're not going to worry about trying to make it edgy or, not like a superhero movie, because this is probably, in a good long while, the most superhero comic book film.
Because there's a message to it, there's a moral, there's things in there about stuff. It actually is saying something about the world, and watch Batman v Superman, what is that saying about the world? It's saying absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
So...
that's just saying it's all shit and there's nothing anyone can do about it. Whereas this is like,
Mom, same as
someone can do
Martha,
something.
you'll be motivated to do something.
I mean, look,
That's what BVS told me.
what are superheroes supposed to be originally? They were there to inspire the people who actually were trying to fight for something, right? That's what they can still be, and Wonder Woman still feels like it accomplishes that. It's saying that you can be this, you can make a difference, you can do something. And yeah, sure, it puts it in this really, like, big, grandiose, like, saying to someone, no, we can't do anything about that village because that's no man's land. And sure, in real life, you have to accept that that's no man's land, and yeah, you can't cross that. Yeah. But the whole idea is that, no, when someone tells you can't do something because that's the way society is, you say, no, we can do something about this.
Maybe Follow my lead.
Yeah, exactly. So, so I liked it. I guess it's probably obvious at this point, but
so Gal Gadot, not really that familiar with her outside of Wonder Woman, and then she was some in the Fast movies, and I'd always, when she was brought in to play Wonder Woman, I was like, it's kind of not really a fit. She doesn't have the stature. But throughout this movie, that all dropped, and she was like this total badass that puts the shield on her back and grabs the sword and goes off to do whatever. And it just shows that if you have that attitude, you don't necessarily need the big, stature of that superhero.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
Yeah.
So, and I thought she did a really good job. I mean, I haven't watched many other things that she's done, but I was pleasantly surprised with how she played Diana.
I mean, I've only seen her on the Fast movies, but I think here she is given a lot more to do, obviously. A, because she's carrying the whole movie, but B, she has this complex character who's trying to like struggle with all these new things that she's learning for the first time, but she still has that compassion show through, occasionally a little bit of anger, that kind of thing, and occasionally she just makes you melt because she'll smile and whatever, and it, like...
She does a lot better job than I expected. I was expecting her to just be okay. But no, she's actually really good.
Because that's what she was in Batman vs. Superman. She was just kind of there, and she was fine, but it also shows the difference in direction.
She didn't actually do anything in Batman vs. Superman.
Right.
Yeah, she showed up to fight. Like, that was it. She had no story or arc or anything like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, obviously we're still in spoiler-free. We'll give you a warning before we start talking about plot details and stuff. I think, to stick to sort of spoiler-free thoughts before we go ahead with all that, movie's very good, very hopeful. It has a very sort of classic Superman the movie style structure. You know, we start in Themyscira, and, you know, we sort of, then we come to London, then we go to the war, and that leads to, like, where everything goes later on in the movie. Very hooked. She's good. Chris Pine's good. They have some pretty good chemistry. There's some good humour in there with them. If I have complaints, I think we're all going to share the one main complaint is that the final fight, and I'm not going to spoil who's in it or anything like that.
Yeah.
But the final fight is it falls into that trap that the end of Batman v Superman fell in, where it's just like people throwing things at each other in front of a giant CG cloud.
Yeah, it's something I feel like a lot of superhero movies in general do. Like, we've got to have a boss fight at the end, sort of thing.
Yeah,
it's the same sort of thing that happened to the Wolverine.
I guess a good example. Yeah.
Yeah, that's real adept there, Connor. I didn't think about that till now.
It's sort of like, well, there's got to be a big fight at the end, so we'll just have it. But it's not really the point of the movie.
No.
It's basically just ticking off like a box.
And
like, we need this.
And I think that wouldn't even bother me that much if it was like a well done fight, but it does fall into that. It's just a big cloud of CG behind them, and there's not really much excitement. And I think it really stands out in this one because the fighting otherwise throughout the movie is actually pretty good. Like, it's actually kind of exciting and well shot. And
some of the stuff in the beginning with the Amazons, I was getting a little like, oh man, okay, hope it's not the whole movie, and he gets away from it, fine, and then it kind of pops back up at the end. So, but like the No Man's Land scene with the action and a lot of the other sequences are fine.
Obviously, we'll talk about it more in spoilers when we actually talk about details, but I think that No Man's Land scene and the village scene that follows is one of the best pure superhero kind of sequences of any movie.
Oh, definitely.
Like, it stands up there with, you know, obviously, I think one of the big ones, obviously, is the final 40 minutes of the first Avengers is kind of the you know, top of the crop. But
how happy were you that they weren't trying to get to a light shining in the sky?
Oh, it's so much. Even though I thought they might go there, it was going so CG that I thought there might be a light at some point beaming into the sky.
And when it didn't, I had a silent fist pump. Like, yes, good. We're good.
But no, so I think that's where we would agree with the problems. Obviously, the supporting cast is typically pretty good as well. There's a little band of soldiers that goes with them that are, you know, not super deep characters, but there's like three of them, and they're all distinct enough that you kind of notice them and you remember them.
They've all got something, haven't they?
And you remember each of them. You know,
See, I kind of have a complaint about these. Like, I thought they were interesting characters, but I felt like they brought up a lot of stuff that you never really feel like got any type of closure on. Like, I thought it brings up things that never really play out. I don't know. I don't know if that's just me or...
I kind of see what you're saying, and we'll talk once we cross the spoiler No Man's Land.
More spoiler stuff.
You know, but... Yeah, I definitely. But there's also the way that they broached certain subjects I appreciated because it fit hand in hand with Wonder Woman, who she is, and how it deals with compassion and her being a warrior but still embracing love.
I thought that stuff was good, but I don't know. I feel like, I don't know, to me there was certain parts in the movie where there were these weird kind of tonal shifts that I think fits with the character of Wonder Woman, but then I feel like it didn't really go anywhere. And I guess it's a little harder to talk without spoilers, but
Tim's notorious for this. He does this in Screams all the time. He'll bring up things that we cannot possibly talk about without spoilers in the spoiler-free section, and then we sit here going, "No, we'll talk about that in spoilers. No, we'll talk about that in spoilers, Tim."
Yeah, Pete beat that out of me early. Go back and watch some of the old 1.21s, and you'll see me doing that a lot too.
Oh dear.
I get you, Tim.
But yeah, so some third act issues with the final fight. Even though I like thematically what it's doing in the fight. Just the fight itself is pretty rough and generic.
I want to give it a big positive to the music. I thought it was mostly pretty excellent.
Outside of the theme.
Outside of that theme, and that's the thing. I went into this movie so terrified of that, and I think I'm going to enjoy this movie more a second time because I found myself a lot of it. When the music was ramping up, you had a nice sequence going on. I was like, is this where they're going to do it? Is this where it's going to come in? And it was kind of taking me out of it because I was waiting for it.
But they use a lot of the drums of that theme, and I think the drums are fine.
The drums are fine.
It's when he gets to that electric guitar that's there for no reason, right?
Yeah, what I thought was interesting is the score also had its a second main theme filler that was more graceful and emotional, like because it played a few times and that was there, and I was like, use that more. That's the one to use.
Yeah, I was glad they did only use that awful theme a couple of times.
Yeah.
And now that I know where it is, I'm not going to sit there going, right, is this it? Is this where they ruin it? Mm-hmm. So I think I'll enjoy it more on a rewatch because of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and at least while it's being used, the action on the screen at the time is pretty good. So you kind of like there's at least something to make you feel better.
Ugh, but I'm just going, don't listen. Just don't listen. Just watch.
All right, I think we'll probably go into spoilers then. Whoa! And I don't know.
My cat just slammed the door.
Cats. So it's usually my cats that are causing trouble. All right, so we'll go to spoilers then. So full spoilers from this point on for Wonder Woman. You have been warned. So let's talk about the bridge, the prologue and epilogue, the bookend scenes first, right? I want to talk about.
Wasn't as terrible as what I was expecting when I had read about it online.
It wasn't as
raises some questions though.
It wasn't as terrible, but I did sort of like after enjoying the movie at the end to go back to her emailing Bruce Wayne. I was like, oh, not the emails! Stop with the emails.
Yeah, it's like it doesn't ruin it, but it's just a bit of a groan that you have to end on.
So I wanted, and this is probably cheesy and just speaks to who I am as a person. I kind of wanted Charlie to them reveal his last name was Pennyworth, right? So that's how Bruce came into contact with that picture to send it to her.
But Charlie's Scottish.
I know. It could be an uncle. It could be a distant relative.
Sure.
It doesn't have to be,
So it's all right. All Brits are just the same to him.
I know. This is a shocking display here.
So wait, so you're telling me an English family could move to Scotland and then move back, right? Or they don't have a branch of the family that goes up there?
It could. You're just making assumptions though, and it's downright offensive, quite frankly.
It is.
Quite frankly.
I'm insulted that you would compare us to them.
Sorry, Connor.
Shut up, Ginger. But I mean, the first one's fine. It just kind of leads into the photograph, and it's like, maybe one day you'll tell me your story, and it goes back to it. The one at the end, honestly, the whole email thing at the end wouldn't have even been an issue had it not been for the fact that the Batman v Superman had that whole "let's introduce the Justice League via emails" kind of thing.
Yeah. It raises the questions of, because it implies that she wasn't Wonder Woman for the rest of that time. After she stopped after this. So I'm going, why did she stop? Why? I'm assuming then she didn't fight in World War II, if we're getting this.
Yeah, she just shrugged and went, Hitler doesn't seem that bad. I'll just stay in hiding. Which
kind of seems like a weird bit for her character for this. And
we're in the spoiler section, so I could say, she defeated war personified, so I don't need to do nothing anymore, Yeah,
but then she sees Hitler's murdering millions of Jewish people. I mean, presumably they'll answer this in some way at some point, and they'll say she was up to something.
Also, is she not in the public consciousness, or is it only Trevor's band of people that kind of know about her?
I feel like it was more I think they knew about her, and it came like an urban legend sort of thing, and obviously it was so long ago.
Because then they shouldn't have been surprised when a man in a red cape comes flying through Metropolis.
Yeah, Matt, it doesn't sound like anyone but them knew about her, because even the village she saved, they all die afterwards. So it's not like Like hardly anyone would know that she exists. So
just
I
the
get
people
that.
who were there at the end, and like I said, they're probably just an urban legend at that point.
And plus, it's an urban legend, and then add on 80 years.
It was like a covert.
Yeah,
they were like a covert team that they were going like out of their way to go undercover. They weren't really under
they were off the
official.
books, weren't they?
Yeah.
Because Varga, Sir Patrick, he sends them off as if it's a good idea. But do you know the thing is, because I've been watching Fargo and he's a villain in that, and that's not a spoiler for Fargo. He's clearly the villain the second he walks on the screen. But I was waiting all movie for him to turn. I was like,
I've seen him as a good guy so many more times than ever villain, but because I'm watching Fargo at the minute, I'm going.
You know what?
Good.
I was just gonna say, like, I don't know if it's cool for kind of like jumping around, but I didn't really like that reveal. Like before that, when Wonder Woman's having like that talk with Trevor after she defeats that other kind of red herring bad guy.
That red herring. That's what he is. He's not got a name. He's just the red herring.
Ludendorff.
And then I actually thought that was like a pretty cool, powerful scene. Like when the war's still going on, she's like, doesn't know what happened, and then she's talking.
Yeah, I like that.
Trevor.
Actually,
but then I feel like they did the kind of comic booky thing where it's like, oh no, like I thought that would have been an interesting idea to keep going, and not actually show him.
Since you're bringing this up, actually, at that point in the movie, I actually thought they weren't going to. And what I was thinking in my head was, all right, if we're going to have 3 Wonder Woman movies, right? Number 2 is going to be Cheetah, because duh, right?
Yeah.
And then number 3, to make it feel like a rounded trilogy, that's when the real Ares shows up, and we actually have the physical presence of Ares, and she fights Ares. And obviously that went all out the window, and about 10 seconds later when he shows up. But
as soon as I saw David Thewlis, I was like, well, he's too big of an actor to just have this throwaway role. And I kind of started peeling those pieces, going, well, he's got to be Ares, because it's not... You can't have the big, evil German guy just be Ares.
Yeah, it was too obvious. But
that's too easy.
The problem was for me, I'd heard when he was cast, a couple of years ago, whatever it was now, that he was cast as Ares, and I'd kind of forgotten it and just shrugged it off. And then he shows up in this, and I was like, and obviously with me watching Fargo, I'm going, he's evil. I'm like, it's just straight away. I was like, oh man.
And plus, you could tell when he was really, buffing up for the role that he was gonna.
Honestly, like I actually don't have a problem with him turning out to be Ares. But I would have liked them to keep him, like, not have the fight. I almost like, because deal with the plane full of the poison gas stuff. Like, deal with that and have that be, like, your final. And have Wonder Woman
What's up with guys named Steve piloting a plane full of
I know. But
at the end of a world war.
But, like,
it's weird.
Wonder Woman struggled with dealing with the fact that... Because I actually really like that speech when Steve says to her, look, I know it would be easy if there was just one bad guy you could kill and that'd be it, and it'd be all over. But that's not how the world works. Like, she has to learn that it's more complicated than that there is shades of grey. And I kind of like that, and this is where the film actually has kind of depth, because she is this beacon of light, and it's this idea of hope that we can do something. But at the same time, you can't be naive and think, oh, it's just one bad guy, and then it's all fixed.
I will say, I do like that. I like that Ares says that he didn't do this. Like, sure, he maybe influenced a few people here and there, but he didn't cause this. This was just mankind being...
Well, and I think that's kind of important to look at the context of World War One as well, because it's not... When you look back, there's a lot of atrocities that happened, but unlike World War Two, there's not like this big bad,
Yeah. Oh, no. You try and explain to someone off the top of your head what started World War One. And okay, sure, you could go, Archduke Franz Ferdinand was assassinated. Right. Yeah, but why did that cause a war? There's so many players involved.
Yeah. It's all these just political alliances that dominoed out.
Well, it's family drama, because they were all related to the Queen, right? Queen Victoria had married off family members to different royal families, and it was all of them kind of having a family spat at first. And so
it's a very messy war.
Yeah, exactly. And I like that was here when Ares is like, I was just kind of here, like Connor said, but I didn't actually do anything. And I kind of wish they would have left him, like, I almost kind of wanted Azarella's version of him, where he's kind of like, hey, I'm just doing my job. Like, I'm here to shepherd things. I'm not here to cause problems.
Joe, it's funny. I didn't think he was actually that well cast as Ares until the suit was on, and then it was just the voice with the imposing suit, and I'm like, it works now. Like, the voice.
You know what I thought was
the voice
really
was good.
Yeah, it was really weird seeing his eyes under there for me, because when I think of Ares, as you just see the blackout.
Yeah.
You never see the face under the helmet, so it was really weird for me seeing his eyes
I'm
acting
glad
under there.
I'm glad they had the shot of him walking out the flames in the suit, because that was like the sort of, that's the shot I expect to see of Ares when you're going to show him.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the fight wasn't that great afterwards. Even though I did like Wonder Woman picking up the tank. I mean, that's cool.
But her being bound as well. That's a deep comic pull, because when she was created, that was like her one weakness. It's kind of silly, you know. But yeah, he binds her. That's how he. Yeah.
Do I talk about No Man's Land, since we're hitting the big action beats? Let's talk about one of the best superhero scenes that we've had, and almost like
I'm gonna cross even across Marvel. Like, this one is up there with a lot of their great ones too.
Well, I'm not gonna lie. When this was going on, I was basically tearing up, going, "Oh my god, they finally did it! They finally did a superhero right."
Do you know what this reminded me of? Like the feeling of like the tear of happiness. Like they finally they got this right. It was all the way back at Batman Begins, when Gordon looks up at that light in the sky, and it's like they get it. They get Batman, and you know that's what it felt like here. It was like, oh man, they get Wonder Woman. This feels right.
It kind of it means so much more now after this
after the
atrocities that we've just had.
Well, that's it. When you get creatives that get the character, you can have these moments. Like, Joss fully understood the Avengers, so he can fill that movie full of all these fun little moments. And when he hits a big, huge like hero moment, it means that much more. And I think Patty Jenkins did get Wonder Woman.
Yeah, and this is full of the small little moments as well, like the ice cream, for example.
Oh.
My
wife leaned over to me. She goes, "Why is it a big deal?" And then I had explained to her after, you know.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's those little things that add up to big things. But yeah, No Man's Land was fantastic. Like,
yeah, it's funny because we've seen like glimpses of it in the trailers. Obviously, like her like, you know, blocking the bullet and stuff. Which, by the way, one of my favorite little things with the bullet blocking, when they're in the alleyway, which by the way was a total Donner Superman kind of callback.
Yeah.
But when they're in the alleyway and there's those three muggers or whoever, like, or not even muggers, they're assassins or
they're
spies.
Spies,
yeah. I just because usually in an alleyway it's usually a mugger. All right, my mind goes to mugger.
I got you.
But there's like three of them.
At least there's a legitimate reason for them to be in this alleyway.
Yeah. But there's like three of them, and they're in all different directions. And there's that bird's eye shot of her just like darting around, blocking all the shots from different directions. It just looked cool. Like, man, you're actually making her a badass.
Her character to a T is she's defensive. Like, she has a sword, but she deflects with the bracers. She has a shield, and she uses that first. Like, she's there to defend.
And that was about No Man's Land as well. Is like the music was soaring up, and like she was blocking the missile with a shield, and then there's that point where all the guns are on her, and she's just standing there holding her ground. And obviously the other guys all like sort of use that as a distraction to come up and help. But
I really love how they used the lasso in this. I just thought that looked really cool anytime she'd bust that out. And it's one of those things I wasn't really thinking about before the movie. Like, obviously they're going to have the lasso, but I didn't put much thought into how it would look on screen. And I just thought they did an awesome job making it look cool.
Yeah, I think the visual effect of it was really good. Because obviously the style's one thing, but it could have looked really goofy. It's this, golden rope and it glows, but it looked really good.
It looked good, and then the action scenes when she used it, the slow motion really helped with the last, because you could really get this sense of you understood where she was pulling people with it and things like that. Like, it's almost like if you were to do a scene like this with Batman, that would be with a grappling hook. Like, you'd see what he's doing with the grappling hook in slow motion, so you'd understand it.
Yeah.
But it worked really well. So
also, the way that it would interact with people, like when Steve's wrapped up in it early on, and it like causes him pain. Like, in the comics, I always read it as like they're just suddenly compelled. It's like a truth serum.
Yeah.
But here, he's trying to lie, and every time he tries to lie, it causes him like pain. But it's not like physical pain where you see him wincing. It's like this mental. He's trying to, but he just can't, and then he finally just gives in and tells the truth.
It kind of felt me like if you have like a really bad stomach ache or something, like you might not be like crying out, but you just kind of have the look on your face where you're like, oh, God damn it. Like,
I think the favourite thing I have, all just the pure action and drama of it and the music and everything, is the No Man's Land, and then the village thing that follows right on after it. What I love about that whole thing is that entire sequence, the No Man's Land, then the village, it all happens because she's just not willing to let it go. Because she hears someone's in trouble and she has to save them. Fancy that, someone in a DC movie going out their way to save people. Shocking.
Yeah.
And when she destroys a building, it's because there's a German sniper in there, and she has
which
to.
was a fantastic callback when Steve remembers what the Amazons did on the beach, and he runs out and goes, "Hold this up." He's like, "Hey, Diana, shield."
Yep.
Yeah, the jump.
Yeah, I love anytime like anyone ever said like, "Oh, you can't do this." I just love her reaction, just being like, "Why?" And then just doing it anyway, like not even like caring at all.
I'm almost disappointed they avoided the obvious line when because they set it up where they're in no man's land or they're in the trench, and she's like, "Oh, we need to go over and save the village," and he's like, "It's no man's land, Diana. You can't do it." And he explains what no man's land is, and I was like, "Just say, good thing I'm not a man. Just say it. Say it."
I didn't want that. I didn't want that at all.
I wanted that.
It's obviously you see it like the Lord of the Rings moment, and it's just like, do it as a callback if anything else.
Just a good thing I'm not a man, or even just smile when he says, no man can go out there. It's like, man, but no, it was great the way the camera went behind her.
She turns to the screen and winks.
Yeah, the way the camera went behind her, and then like she had the the tiara on, and it was like, okay, it's go time. What I thought was cool is how she'd had the costume on since she'd left the island, because it just made sense that she had to be wearing that because that's her outfit. Right. But they'd made a point of never really showing it in full until she goes out up the trench. That was the full reveal of it. They always
just hid it with the other clothes, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yep.
And I also like too that you never really see her. I mean, unless I missed it or anything, but it doesn't seem like she ever actually killed anyone. Like you'd see her going after like their guns and their weapons and knocking people out.
I don't know.
Steve is shooting.
Ludendorff would disagree.
No, she kills a guy at the end. But here's the difference between her killings in this. Every time she kills someone in this, with the one exception of the guy who she thinks is Ares, right, of Ludendorff, who she learns a lesson from as well, right? There's a lesson there that she immediately learns. But everyone else,
a lesson learned by killing a bad guy.
Right.
Weird.
Everyone else that she potentially kills, and you're right, Tim, she goes for the guns in the trench and stuff like that. She's trying to stop them from harming people. But even when she does like jump at the sniper, and yeah, that probably does kill that guy.
He got crushed.
She does that because she's actively stopping him from hurting people. Like he's trying to kill people in that moment.
It's a last resort. It's her as a warrior going, she doesn't kill if she can help it, but if that's the choice,
there is miles of difference between this and then that stupid car scene in Batman v Superman where Batman's just throwing cars into other cars and there are explosions.
What about Superman smashing all that dude through the walls?
Oh my god.
Yeah.
When a little tap on the head would have solved it.
Yeah. Also, so she goes and takes out that guy at the top of the church, right? Because Charlie suddenly can't, and Charlie's the Scottish sniper that Steve recruits. Because he has PTSD, because throughout the war he's seen some stuff, and he hides it behind him drinking and singing at the bar. But when he's sober and they get through no man's land, he kind of has a breakdown, right? And I like how they address that.
I thought he actually added a nice little bit. Not that the movie was devoid of it anyway, but like he added a little bit of heart to things. Like the whole idea that he's like, no, I won't even, because there's that moment after they've spent a night in this village after they've saved it. And Steve and Dan have their dance and they have their kiss and whatnot. And she hears him singing, and the next day he's like, there's no point in me even coming. Like, because they all basically have that heroic moment where they're like, okay, you've only paid us up until now. We should all just leave. But they all say, no, we're going to come because we're doing something. And he's like, nah, I'm of no use. I clearly can't do what I'm supposed to do. And she's like, yeah, but who will sing for us? And she encourages him. There's this outreach from her.
I love how then it actually her compassion. It cuts to him singing as they're walking through the forest.
And that's one of those moments where she just makes you melt, because like, if she smelled at me and asked me to do it, I was like, yeah, I'll do whatever you want. Like,
whatever, exactly.
Whatever you want. Like, no arguments.
Again, I have this new appreciation for the character from Rucka's comics, like we've been talking about on the comics podcast. And when she reaches out and says, "Who will sing for us?" that feels like it's straight from Rucka. That's something she would have said throughout year one or whatever. Oh, yeah. And it's just, I forgot about that moment until Pete just brought it up. And
I think I can't emphasize enough just how much it feels like it gets the character. Where in Batman v Superman, it felt like they bastardized both just to justify the fact that they called the movie Batman v Superman. You know, they had to have them fight, so everything was to justify that they were going to fight each other.
Yeah,
and that would be less offensive if it had actually been a coherent movie on its own as well. At least then I'd go. At least there's because that's how I feel about Man of Steel. Like, it's not a Superman movie, but it's a coherent and decent enough movie.
Oh yeah, it functions. It's coherent.
More so than the two that followed it.
Exactly. Whereas this does both.
Yeah,
this gets the character and it's coherent.
So here's the double-edged God Killer sword, if you will. that if this was bad, there was a chance that like we're just gonna burn it to the ground and start fresh, and we'll get Justice League, but forget about it soon enough, like they did Green Lantern. But now that this is good, it shows like, hey, maybe Aquaman's gonna be good too. Well, maybe if they can get the right director for Flash, this world isn't burn it to the ground.
Here's the thing. Talking about the DCU as a whole, Aquaman is technically the first one that should feel the influence of Jeff Johns, like completely. Because that wasn't even started when he came on board to start running
I feel
things.
this had the Johns influence, I feel.
Yeah, I felt it as well. Yeah. And here's the thing, I don't think we've had the chance to speak publicly about the whole Zack Snyder stepping down thing. Now, obviously...
It's a tragedy.
Yeah, it's a tragedy. It's like... Obviously, there's assholes on the internet who are, oh, thank God. Like, not like this. Under any other circumstance, the fact that he's stepping out and Joss Whedon's coming in to fix things would be like parades. I'd be like streamers and like...
That's it. Obviously, we all wanted him gone, but we didn't want
him on his own cognizance going, hey, maybe I don't know the characters like I think I do. Let me turn it over to someone that does. It's a family tragedy that caused it, and you don't want to wish that on anybody.
This is not him as a director. This is him as a human being. What is happening? What happened to him is awful, and it's not like no one should be making fun of that or anything like that. Nope. But here's the interesting thing that's come out. So obviously, Joss Whedon's they've got reshoots to do, right? And they're reshooting a bunch. There's been rumours that they've already reshot a ton of stuff as well. But here's the interesting thing that came out of this afterwards that really piqued my interest in terms of just what this could mean. All these reshoots were already written by Whedon. That was something Snyder was going to go shoot them, but Whedon was already writing like these parts of the movie.
Are you telling me I'm getting a Joss Whedon Superman, Peter? Because if that's the case,
I'm not saying that for sure.
Scenes filtered
that's what I'm saying.
Style.
But still, like.
But I think that's interesting. I think it's interesting that either Snyder or Warner Brothers or Johns, now that he's overseeing these things, did they go, right, we need to fix this Justice League movie up. It has to work to X extent. And the idea they've got Whedon in the family now because he's doing Batgirl, and they've brought him in to rewrite parts of it. I think the review of Justice League...
His scenes are just 100% more Batgirl. He's just doing Barbara or Stephanie Brad, whoever he's choosing in the Justice League.
I think it's going to make for a really weird review come November. I actually don't know anymore, because obviously beforehand, when it was just 100% Snyder, I was like, I'm expecting to hate it. And usually reshoots and rewrites usually mean a bad thing, but it's like...
we heard a lot about reshoots for this, and...
That's true.
Over the last couple of months, we heard there was a lot, and I don't really feel any of them. None of it looks like it was slotted in late. If they did reshoot, it was a significant enough chunk that it kind of reworked the movie around them.
I feel like the ice cream, right? That was in Justice League. That was in Johns' New 52 Justice League. I feel like adding a character moment like that was a reshoot. Like that maybe wasn't necessarily in there. You know? So, but if you're talking about these Whedon reshoots that seem to be that much more extensive that he had to write, I feel that's them going, all right, we're throwing a Band-Aid over this now. And we don't want to completely ditch this universe. We're bringing him in for Batgirl. We're going to have a lighter tone.
Obviously, I think visually we're still going to have a problem with how dark the movie looks, because the trailer still looked dark, and they're going to fix that because everything has to match.
It's too late for that.
But
it's kind of weird.
Let me go.
Yeah, sorry. I was just gonna say, I think Justice League was gonna be like the first big comic book movie that I was not gonna see in theaters. Like I was that upset, with
me too.
Man of Steel and BVS, and obviously these movies will always make tons and tons of money, but I was like, you know what, not that it really matters, but for my own self, I'll take a little bit of a stand and not see it. But in light of everything that's come out, with this movie being good, and with the idea of reshoots and stuff, and then also the tragedy stuff, it makes you just kind of go like, these are just movies, they're not that big of deals. Like I don't know, I am actually like, oh, you know what, I guess I will probably go see it now.
I wouldn't say I'm looking forward to Justice League because I still remember Batman v Superman. I still have reasons to be skeptical. I will say I have curiosity now.
Yeah, sure. I was only going to say out of a morbid curiosity because I want to go. How bad is this? Because
obviously we were going to review it. We're going to see it no matter what and tear it to shreds if it was terrible. But now I'm curious.
I just want to see.
You're responsible for the theater getting burned down in my hometown. If that's the case.
I just want to see what it actually is. What does it end up as? I just need to know.
Well, okay, we went tangenting away from the actual movie, so let's swing it back in. Let's talk about.
Should we talk about
the lasso of truth?
Yeah. Do you want to talk about like the other kind of villains, Dr. Poison? We haven't really touched on.
Yeah, let's talk about them. I think here's the thing. Obviously, a lot of Marvel villains get shit, including from us, for being weak. Mm-hmm. And I don't think like Dr. Poison and Ludendorff were great villains by any means. They don't really have a story. That said, I do think there's something to be said for just having a cool look for a villain, and I think Dr. Poison looked creepy as shit, and I am I'm all for, at least if you're not going to give me like a deep villain, then give me one that has a cool look to him, to her, or in this case her. But you know, like.
Well, see
this is where you can tell Pete's fan of slashers.
Yeah, she looks like a horror movie villain. She does.
Well, see, I always catch stuff from people when I say that I really like Ronan in Guardians of the Galaxy, and he's kind of just disposable, throwaway villain, but he's got a cool look to me. Like when you see them preparing him for war, like he's a gladiator.
Connor's face is he's got a cool look to him, and Connor's just like, what?
Like, does he?
Right, and so that was enough for me. That was enough for me in that movie. And here it's the same with Dr. Poison, where you just look and go, oh, what's behind that mask?
Yeah,
is it that bad?
I also like that they gave her like this. Yeah, I like it. Like she had this like creepy, like fascination with like watching things die and decay.
And she's got that mad scientist thing going for her, and that was kind of at least interesting. Like she's not deep. She doesn't have like an arc or anything like that. But she does have at least a cool looking sort of idea around her at least.
Yeah, and it fits in with World War I because that's when they started using chemical warfare. So it makes sense. Like the big villain would play into that.
Yeah. I did think it was kind of cheesy, that one scene though where they killed everyone and locked the door, and then like they had this really, really over the top like supervillain laugh.
Oh, what was the line? It was he throws in a gas mask. He's like, "Oh, that won't help them." Yeah, but they don't know that.
Yeah. That's when you're just being evil for the sake of it, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm not even. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I laughed at that just because I liked that there was a sense of levity to all these people dying versus. Like in Suicide Squad, where people are just getting taken out left and right, and there's nothing. It doesn't mean anything. At least this meant something and pushed the characters forward a little bit. Like, oh, maybe Ludendorff is Ares. Like,
yeah. I mean, I'm seeing a lot of people talk about the canisters that he snaps open that give him the strength. Mm-hmm. People are going,
"You mean Beth?"
Yeah, true. But people are going, "Why didn't he just give that to his army?" And it's like, because he's selfish. Yeah. Because he wants the power for himself.
You don't want 100,000 methed up German soldiers on a battlefield. Plain and simple.
I've got a legit criticism actually here now that we're talking about this that I've remembered that was bugging me during the movie. Why are all the Germans talking in English to each other when they're on their own? And it stood out even more to me when there was other scenes where, like, you know, there's that fun scene where Diana and the other guy are doing all the languages because, like, she speaks all these languages and so does he, and she keeps like, she eventually gets like an ancient one that he doesn't know, and it's just it's a fun little scene. But that has subtitles, and I'm like, well, okay, you had subtitles, so why can't we have subtitles for the German scenes? This is weird.
No, that is fair.
It's one of those things where it's like, oh, it's because it's for English-speaking audience mainly, we're just going to have them speaking English and German accents, even though it makes no goddamn sense.
It happens all the time, which is why I think it doesn't bother me that much. It's irritating, but it's something that it's a complaint that I have across so many movies, especially blockbusters, where it's like I'm just like, whatever. I don't have the patience to care about it anymore.
At least they had accents, unlike Tom Cruise and Valkyrie. So. Did he have an accent, Valkyrie? I can't remember.
I don't know. I've not seen.
Might just be talking.
Probably not.
Okay.
All right. Let's talk about Themyscira. We've not really talked about the first chunk of the movie.
No.
There was colours.
There was.
Massive armadillo problem.
It was prey.
Yeah. Why was there? That was my first thing too, as a zoology kind of minded guy going, they're in the Mediterranean. I think armadillos are only, indigenous to the Southwest U.S. But
Come on,
hey,
Matt. Magic.
Hey,
I know.
It had to be a nod to Dracula.
You think?
Maybe. Or there's just a weird random armadillo in Dracula.
unless it's dead, and then in which case it's a homage to Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Oh, there
Yeah.
you go.
Because
See,
that's the first thing I think of when you tell me armadillo. I think of that opening shot.
Themyscira looked like a place I would love to visit if I were allowed and it were real.
That was pretty.
Like,
Are you just being perverted? You just want to go there because it's all women?
no. I'm talking
The actual
Okay.
place.
Yeah, it's pretty.
the waterfalls and like, man.
Do you know what I
That
liked?
thing that Steve was taking a bath in, I was like,
Oh yeah, like that layers
Yeah.
of hot tub
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
Joe, I liked there was a little sort of thing, and they didn't really like drive it home and make it obvious. But for people who read the comics, I think like there's a point where it cuts over to a deer, and it's like you're like yeah.
The patrons.
Yeah.
I thought it was interesting that in this all the gods are dead. I thought because obviously that's not what we get in a lot of Wonder Woman stories. So it was interesting that they'd made that choice.
I think that's maybe
Yeah.
because it's merging with the rest of the DCU. It just makes it easier if there's all these gods not around to.
Yeah, I'd have to deal with
I
it.
also saw that as so at the end Ares dies, right? He's the last god to be in. So you have the death of the old gods, and then you can bring in the new gods.
And Ares, correct me if I'm
right.
wrong, had Zeus powers because he got that from his dad. Am I correct in thinking that at the end? Because he had a lot of electricity stuff going on and lightning.
I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah,
I
that's
feel
how
like
read
that's
it.
I feel like it's an easy thing to write yourself out of, though, if you ever do want, because it's just like a story that she tells. Like you could easily be like, oh, the gods went into hiding or needed to be reborn or something.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I liked all the training stuff. I like the idea that as a little girl, she is determined to learn and train in combat. Even
Yeah,
though
it was the
mother's
idea that
no.
she wanted to be just like everyone else there.
Yeah.
Because that's what everyone else did, but she wasn't allowed because she
Well,
was
it's also
special.
her sense of why can't I do that? Like it goes from her being a little kid up to the no man's land. Like, tell me I can't. I'm gonna do it anyways.
Yeah.
Risk my aunt getting in trouble.
And she nearly hurts like one of the other Amazons with her bracelets when she blocks a hit.
Oh, yeah.
And everyone's like,
Yeah.
what the hell? She has power. She's like...
Well, yeah, and so she's special even amongst them. Like it's not just any Amazonian couldn't have come and made a difference.
Yeah, that is one of the key things, because sometimes with Wonder Woman they don't do it that way. Sometimes they'll say, oh, she's just like any of the other Amazons, but once she has the the lasso, the bracelets and all the other things, that's what makes her. Whereas this clearly says, no, she's got more to her than the other ones do, because of how she was created, and that's fine.
I thought
Can we
they
talk about
hinted at that reveal really early. Because they talk about how, she goes... She's told the story of, you were made from clay and then Zeus brought you to life. But just before we were told Zeus was killed ages ago. So it was like, okay.
So, yeah, let's talk about the origin really quick, because they did really play up the made from clay and, life was breathed into her by Zeus. Does that not make her any less Zeus's daughter than if, the Azzarello origin where Zeus is legit? He impregnated.
I think
all
it
of
does.
that.
I think that's what they're doing here. They're sort of merging the two. So it's like, it's made for clay, but that still makes it Zeus's daughter, and therefore Ares is still her brother.
Right. So, and I like that. I like that it blends the two. And because the made of clay is so, like, I understand it and understand what it stands for. It is so, like, golden age comic booky, kind of hokey.
Yeah, it's literally building themselves a better future.
Yeah. And... so when it was revealed in the New 52 that, Zeus was her legit dad and that makes her part god, here they merged it because she is a goddess. Like, she is the god killer weapon that was, so yeah, I mean, it's not a big thing to get hung up on, but it was something I was thinking about after the movie.
I have a question. Like you said, it clearly establishes that she is a god because, only a god can kill a god. That's what they tell us. What is she the god of?
Compassion, unity.
That'd be my guess.
Could be could any number of things,
It could be. I
not war.
hope they explore it. I think it'd be really interesting if they do.
Maybe they do. I don't
But
know.
even then, if you look that she's the goddess of unity, right? That would make her appearance in Batman vs Superman actually make sense, because she's there to be like, boys, cut it out. We
Stop
need to be on the
fixing
same
their
side.
problems.
Yeah.
There was obviously the Timothy stuff's great. Like obviously Steve shows up and that sort of propels the plot. I liked her, sneaking into the tower that has all the outfits and stuff and or bits and pieces.
You get a glimpse.
Oh, that was cool. And but obviously when she's with Steve and she's on the boat, there's so much good comedy and stuff. It's, even in the pool when there's that, like, you think she's talking about the penis, but she's not, kind of moment.
Yeah. What's that?
Yeah. It's like, are you an average man?
Such a well-reviewed superhero movie would have so many dick jokes. Like,
honestly, the average man one, I don't necessarily think was meant to be. I mean, obviously we maybe take it that way, but I think that she was just talking about men as a whole. Are you an average man?
Of course,
that's what she was asking,
innocent.
but the script was clearly intending us to take it as an innuendo.
Yeah.
There's almost a smile at the camera from Pine about that, kind of like.
And hey, to be fair, I will agree that he is above average. I will not argue with his his assertion there.
Seeing him in the bomber jacket,
Hal Jordan
in this kind of time period.
I know.
Not just Hal Jordan, but like he was always my vote for when they relaunch Indy. I feel he could get grumpy, and he kind of has that average man. Like you could see him in the classroom, too. So just seeing him just at that, and he had this dry wit to him that I just.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed.
That was the one downside of him being Steve Trevor, is that he can't be Hal Jordan, honestly.
Yeah.
Because he's kind of perfect for it.
Here's the thing. So he sacrifices himself to, because there's a plane filled with all of Dr. Moore's poisons.
I think we've seen coming, because obviously the movie's set in World War One. We can't have Steve in present day, so he might as well have a sacrifice.
Yeah.
Ending.
I'm seeing people complain, saying, why did he have to die? Like, they were like, going, why did he have to blow up the plane? It's like, because it was on a timer. It doesn't matter where he lands it. It's still going to go off and, affect the area.
And it's also him being a hero. Like, it's his last speech to Diana also.
Yeah.
He's following through, like, one good act can change the world. And that's what he goes and does. But he signed a multi-picture deal. So either that was just to mess with us, who constantly read the news on this stuff, and be like, oh, well, he'll show up in Justice League somehow.
His great-grandson.
I hope not.
It could be that.
I mean, yeah. That's how you really... Because this is basically...
Steve Trevor the Fourth?
Yeah. This is basically Captain America, in terms of in terms of that as the movie. This is kind of their version of that. But yeah, that's how you really differentiate it. Let's have their grandson show up.
Yeah.
I guess maybe they'll argue magic-y things because gods were involved. He was teleported to the future. I don't know.
The plane flew into us.
I'm just saying, like.
And he landed on Apocalypse. And...
I mean, you're all assuming it's that literal, and it's not just things like a vision that Diana has.
Yeah,
well, Flash could go back in time, and I don't know.
Possibly.
Well, that is a thing that I've read on the internet, timey-wimey, because of BVS. But
timey-wimey.
But yeah, I thought that was interesting because part of me was like, well, no, Chris Pine's too good. You don't just use him for one movie. And then I was like, oh no. He's gonna get a heroic send off.
He is a good actor, but I think I'm wasn't as big on his character in this movie. I thought he did have a few good shining moments, like especially towards the end. Like, yeah, he was pretty heroic, but a lot of the stuff leading up to him, I just something about him kind of bugged me the wrong way. Like.
I really liked that he was, as much as he says he's above average, he kind of was the everyday man in the sense that he doesn't believe in all this stuff. He kind of uses it for his own gain in the sense it's like, look, we're coming back here. I'll take you to the war, whatever, Ares, sure. And like he said, gives that great speech about how it's not just one man that won't fix it all. And he is kind of even though he has these heroic moments, he is kind of the everyman still.
Yeah, all that stuff in London is great fun as well. Like everything with Etta. I mean, I kind of wish there was more Etta, but
definitely.
Yeah.
Everything with Etta, like like when she hands her the shield and the sword, and she's just sort of left there holding it, and it's just, you give it a good chuckle. And then after the alleyway scene when the guy tries to run away and she's standing there with a sword, like it's just fun. And even again, the other joke at Superman's expense about the specs. It's like, oh yeah, put on specs, and she's not the most beautiful woman you've ever seen. Yeah,
well, also, it was in the trailer, and it cracked me up. Then it cracked me up in the movie, her trying to go through the rotating door.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she's just the way she's carrying her sword through, like she's going off to battle.
The best bit is when she just runs it. She's like, "I'm going to time it. I'm going to go. I'm going."
Yeah, that's pretty good. Or even it is like a, how do women fight here? It's like with our principles, but I'm not against using a bit of fisticuffs should the occasion call for it. Like, that wasn't every trailer, but it was still funny.
It was.
Yeah.
Also, her trying to do a kick in the tight dress. That was pretty hilarious.
Oh yeah, and ripping it. Yeah.
Just Etta's resignation of the whole situation, where she's just like, "Oh, this is outfit number 200."
294. Yeah.
Also, note that at no point in the movie does anyone ever actually use the name Wonder Woman. No one calls her that. Never comes up. We're still getting there, and I think that's cool. It's fine. We know she's Wonder Woman. We don't need her to have a name.
Yeah, I was half expecting it to be, like the ending sort of thing, where it'll be someone names her at the very end.
Or they do the Fantastic Four ending where they're like, so what should we call you? I don't know, I Wonder Woman. And there's like, wait, say that again?
I will say, I do like that they didn't, because it perpetuates this idea that no one knows she was around. There wasn't even a name.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Exactly.
I mean, the ending's fine when she's like, okay, this is who I am, this is what I do, and she comes out in her outfit. I did think, though, when she's like on the laptop and she sends her email, she was one of the lines of dialogue was like, oh, I know that love conquers all. It was something that equally cheesy to that, and I went, that was a bit much. Like, you could have dialed that cheesiness back a little bit, but otherwise, I have very little complaint. I mean, obviously, I complained about the third act and the fight with Ares, and you called it a boss battle earlier on, and I think that's very apt because it feels like a video game cutscene. But the rest of the action's really good. It gets the character. There are some legitimate superhero moments that are kind of hopeful and full of a message. And then when they come back to the village and it's all dead, it feels proper dark. Like, that's an example of doing a really dark moment that feels dark because it impacts the characters and impacts you as a viewer, not just because you're trying to be edgy.
And you actually see her reaction and how it affects her.
And it makes her angry.
And she's, like, destroyed, you know? Like,
And it's again, like, this is one of the bleakest times in human history. There were awful tragedies like this. Of course, there should be some of that in this movie. Not having any of that would kind of feel like you were just hiding from it. Yeah,
and it almost, and because that was the big heroic scene where she finally really became Wonder Woman when she saved that village. The fact that was then taken away from her because they just bomb it anyway, they just gas it. It's like that motivation to go in and to be fair, the one guy she does outright intentionally kill, Ludendorff, she does think is the god of war. She doesn't actually think it's a person. Just pointing that out.
Now, I thought it was kind of weird how, like, it seems like they're bringing up all these big real life, kind of issues about, like, the horror of war and everything, and I like that. I thought that was interesting, but then it feels like a little bit of a cop-out that they're bringing that realness to it, but then it ends with her killing Ares, and it kind of seemed like, oh, this is like stopping the war. Like all these soldiers are hugging afterwards. Like, oh, like that's finally over now. The war can end. I don't know. I didn't really like that.
I mean, I didn't take it as that. Because obviously, Ares even says it's not his power that's doing this. So killing him wouldn't just end the war. I think it was just that they look around and saw it and realized.
Yeah, I didn't read that way either. To me, because they mentioned several times in the movie, they're already talking about an armistice. Like, they're already ending the war. We're kind of on the way out.
And like we said, it is a very messy war. It's not like these are they're not evil people necessarily.
There's a movie, and I always forget the name of it. I want to say it's called Noel, but it's set at Christmas, and it's set in a no man's land. And it's about how all the sides came together on Christmas to not fight.
Yeah, it's a true story. It was on Christmas. I don't know if they did it more than once, but it's at least one Christmas during the war. The German and the Allied sides both stopped fighting for the day, and they went up in no man's land, and they met in the middle, and they played games and exchanged stuff.
Yeah, and had Christmas dinner as well as they could, and
because that's it. Like, as evil as there were people up at the the top of the chain. Yeah. These people, they didn't really want to be there and killing each other. They wanted to celebrate Christmas.
Right. I think that's why World War II is used a lot more in movies, because it's much easier to have a villain in that, because Hitler was proper evil. Like that, he was just like a outright evil guy.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I think World War I is perhaps more interesting for something like this, where you've got Diana going out there and seeing the horrors of war, but maybe not going... There is no one to point at and go, you're to blame, which is why she can latch onto Ares.
Yeah, so that final scene, the way I read that was... Obviously, we see the wars ended in the next scenes as well, when they go back to London, but I read that as, wait a minute, there was just this giant explosion of light from this fight between two gods over there. I took that as, yeah, there's no point in us fighting after that.
Yeah, this isn't important. This doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I like that interpretation a little better. I feel like the hugging was like a little much. Like,
yeah, it was. It was, but I mean, it gets the point home that the war's over and these guys are finally like, good, I'm tired of fighting.
Yeah, I do want to point out, at least from my memory, the hugging wasn't like running up and like arms around it. It was more like the chief, the Native American guy, kind of puts his arm around one of the Germans. Is like,
kind of like we're all in this together, sort of thing.
Well,
we all just
kind of
that.
And he's a smuggler, anyways. He's loyal to money. He was smuggling stuff for everyone.
Yeah, both sides knew him, probably.
Yeah. So
now, what did you guys think of? This is kind of a similar complaint, and again, this might be me being way too like nitpicky, but I feel like each of those guys, in their team represented like some type of, like real life horror. Like, the one guy talks about how he wanted to be an actor, but he wasn't the right color, so it's talking about like racism, and then Chief is talking about genocide, and again, I think these were really interesting topics to bring up, but it feels like they just bring it up and like there's no kind of like bigger message to it. It's just kind of like these exist, but
they don't do much with them. But I like that they flesh out the characters a little more, because like you take Captain America and the Howling Commandos, and they're just like black soldier and Asian soldier, and they're kind of just there.
Yeah,
and they don't have much to do.
I feel like I knew them a little bit better in this, and I would argue that it's not so much that they're bringing this up and then don't do anything with it. I think, at least to me, what I read from like this group was, it was a group of misfits and outcasts. It was the group that were all kind of mistreated, because we already have Wonder Woman who represents this really unique sort of like subsection of society that's separate from everyone else. But the idea you have someone who's suffering from PTSD, that's his demons, and you have someone who's suffered, because there's even that, it's almost a joke actually when she says like, what people did this, and he's like, his people, and he points over at Steve.
So I think it's that it kind of tells Diana that the world is screwed beyond just this war. This, there are much bigger issues, and it doesn't deal with them here. They're not something she can solve right now, but it lets her know that the world is not a good place.
Yeah. See, I think that is interesting, that you're introducing, she comes from paradise, and this is a way for people to show her what the real world is like. But I just think maybe there should have been more of a conversation of her being like, like, oh, that's awful. Why do they do that? Tell me more, or something.
I think it'd be something I'd be interested in a next movie. Maybe the reason that she gave up being Wonder Woman was because she wanted to try and fight these issues in a more legit way, non-superhero way.
Well, and that's happened in the comics too. Like,
honestly, if I was to answer that, or at least try and answer that question that Tim just posed, like, why didn't we have other scenes of her asking about it? It was maybe because they just felt like they had too much of that already with everything else. Because there is a lot of her asking about things in the movie. There's a lot of her being surprised at things. There's a lot of her asking about why this, why that, and Steve or whoever has to explain. No, you can't do this, or we can't do that. And
I mean, you say that as well. You have her as the fish out of water there, but you have that opening section where Steve's asking all the questions.
It flips it.
So you do have a lot of fish out of water stuff as it is.
Yeah.
To me, it just brought like I wouldn't say that it didn't fit the movie, but it was kind of like sporadic little weird tonal changes where I'm like, oh, we're getting into like some kind of serious real world stuff now, and then we're cutting to crazy over the top villains or something that's. It was a little strange to me.
Honestly, for me, it wasn't really about answering anything. It was just about introducing her to these different ideas and these different things, and and from that perspective, I quite liked it. I liked her sort of learning all this, but I like it that she learns it through this group that are all working together. Like the idea that there's people who'll fight between these types of people, but this is a group that are all working for a better good, a better goal, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But no, so. Yeah. Is there anything else that we should talk about from Wonder Woman? Talked about music, talked about filmmaking for the most part, really good. Looks pretty.
I will say that during the No Man's Land section, cause I was at one of the luxury theaters with the real nice reclining seats, I got a calf cramp, and so as I'm dealing with the calf cramp, the horrible guitar riff hit. So not only am I in physical pain, but now I have mental pain to go along with it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Did any of you guys get to see it in 70 millimeter?
Mm-mm.
I know the theater of mine was showing it at an earlier showing, but it was like all sold out.
Oh,
Yeah.
that sucks.
And you know what was kind of interesting is like a lot of these movies now, when you want to go opening at night, because I went like Thursday at 8:15, and a lot of times you have to like get your tickets early before they sell out. But I think I got my ticket like maybe Monday or Tuesday or something, and there's barely any seats sold in the theater. But then by the time I got to the theater, the thing was practically sold out. So I wonder if that was just because of like all the buzz and
the reception,
the ratings hitting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
can see that.
while we're on the topic of our personal, viewing experiences at the cinemas, I thought it was really interesting how my cinema did not put the Justice League trailer in front of it. Like,
Really?
Mine did. Yeah.
They did not
Mine
want
did.
that in my head when I was watching this movie. They didn't want to remind me that was still going to happen. They wanted, it was like, here, just enjoy this one.
Yep. See, I got the Thor trailer and I got the Justice League.
Oh, me too.
They were back to back, and I almost got whiplash. From the difference in time.
I still haven't seen the Justice League trailer. I was sure, I'm going to see it at Wonder Woman because it just seems like the obvious one to put it in front of.
You'll see it in front of one of the other comic book movies now. You'll see it in front of Spider-Man. Or you'll see it in front of.
Undoubtedly, I'm definitely going to see it at some point because it's going to. But so it was really interesting that it wasn't in front of Wonder Woman.
If you want to watch it, it is online. Connor.
I don't. I'm avoiding it. That was the point. It was more.
Connor,
I'm going to see it eventually.
There's this thing called YouTube, and I know this is an odd concept to you. I mean, I know you're on it like on a regular basis, but
multiple times a week.
Yeah, look, YouTube, you can search and you can find it and you can watch it.
Here's the thing. Why would I put myself through an extra time? Look, I have to watch it when it comes out at the cinema. I've got no choice, but why would I voluntarily put myself through this?
I've gotten every movie I've went to see the last couple of weeks. I've gotten the Transformers 5 trailer.
I've been getting that tons. Yeah.
Like, I'm not dealing with it.
Yeah, I've been getting the Transformers 5 trailers all the time. Like, almost every movie I see, I'm getting one of them.
Yeah.
And then I had one of those happy little things that happen sometimes at these comic book movies where after the movie, start talking to the guy next to me because I think during the credits I saw like Greg Rucka's name or something like like Greg Rucka, and the guy's like, oh cool, oh you read the comics too? I'm like, oh yeah. I was like, oh where do you go? And that's always nice.
So where are you going on your date? Since you had it off so much.
We'll see.
I thought you were going to say Greg Rucka was sitting in the theater with you, and then I was going to scream.
Matt was getting ready for a really big, exciting story, and it just ended up being...
I mean, it's still a great story to me, but when you bring up Rucka's name, I'm just like, oh.
Expectations are higher.
Yeah. Yes.
So no, the movie was great. I would say. Yes. Yeah. I wouldn't. Obviously, there's a couple of third act problems, a couple of things here or there, but which maybe hold it from being amazing. But I would say great, definitely. It's definitely the best movie in the DCEU so far. And it's not that that's saying much.
Not hard, yeah.
But it is, and it's hope.
I think
right.
I'd say the way I kind of look at it is like almost two different kind of criteria. Like as a movie, I have a lot of really dumb little nitpicky stuff, but if you're looking at it as a character piece of Wonder Woman, it's amazing. Like everything about the character they got right, and that's what really like sets it like over the top for me.
No, I think it's hope for that these DC movies might actually not always suck, and that's a nice thought to have.
We've been so cynical, and it's always been we're going to be cynical until they give us a reason not to be, and this feels like this is that reason that maybe we can have better.
And the fact is, as much as I still have this feeling that Justice League might be this weird Frankenstein creation that ends up not being that satisfying, there is this hope that following that, starting with Aquaman, that maybe we're on to a better path, or we're on to something that's going to start bearing more fruit, and that could be exciting. So here's hoping.
There should have been a scene where she explains the W stands for hope.
In what language? She's just like,
Tim, in this case, that W stands for win. All right?
Okay.
All right.
Also, to be fair, like, it's actually making a lot of money. And
it is.
It's great that obviously being the first big female superhero movie in God knows how long, that it's doing well, because it had to do well. Because obviously, if it had done badly, it would have been likely would have been a case of it would have been because it was a shit movie, like we were kind of expecting.
But the studios wouldn't read it that way.
But they wouldn't read it that way. So I'm glad that it's a good movie and it's making the money that it deserves just on that level.
Yeah, because
it means that we don't have to worry about this going forward.
It sends the right messaging no matter what, because they can't argue that, oh, it's only making money because of this, or it's like, no, it's good, it's making money. So we're not pissed that a bad movie's making money. So that's nice. And then it's also not a case of they can't blame it and say, oh no, it's a women lead, so therefore that's why it's, here's the thing. I even tweeted this a couple of days ago when we were getting the estimates for the weekend, which, by the way, it made 100.5 million domestically, and then worldwide so far it's made 223 million. Solid opening figures, really good.
Yeah.
It broke the record opening weekend for a female director as well.
I think it's interesting, obviously, that Suicide Squad was stacked with names. Like they had all these stars that were like, that's what they were marketing it on.
Yeah.
Whereas they actually marketed it on, this is a Wonder Woman movie, because Gal Gadot's not that much of a star. She doesn't have a big draw.
Now, don't get me wrong, Suicide Squad did have a bigger opening weekend, but I am willing to bet you everything that this has better legs.
Yeah.
And I really hope it does.
So, no, this is good stuff.
And I think she already signed on for a sequel too, right?
The director, yeah. I mean, I think Gal Gadot is signed on for the next decade of her life is signed away to DC at this point, I think. But Patty Jenkins is signed on for a sequel.
She'll be fine with that, I'm sure.
I'm sure.
Which is also weird that Patty Jenkins is supposed to direct Thor 2, and now she fell into Wonder Woman.
She was, yeah. There was a whole kerfuffle, and she fell out of it. That's what pissed off Natalie Portman. And it is kind of weird that she ended up at DC, and now...
Yep.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And
now, Marvel's lost, DC's gained for once.
Exactly. And to be fair... to be fair, I don't know, is Tim on like a delay compared to the rest of us? I feel like he misses the cue more than anyone else.
I think it's just Tim being shit.
It's just Tim.
Yeah.
I can see it being Tim. It's just Tim doing a bit. No, I was just saying, we have a lot of promising possible directors lined up as well for some of these movies coming up. We're hearing maybe Matthew Vaughn doing a Superman movie. We're hearing maybe Zemeckis doing, what was he meant to be doing?
Flash.
Although I think he dropped out of that. But there was like a good list of names where it was like, oh man, I like all these directors. What's going on here?
We got someone good on Batman,
Wan.
Right?
What's that? Sorry, Tim?
Matt
I
Reeves.
said, well, we're both fans of James Wan.
Sure, yeah. Could be like, obviously it's a very different type of movie than what we're used to him doing that we like from him. But yeah, it's still exciting to see what he does. And maybe that means that we'll get a nice, sea creature or something, like some sort of Cthulhu monster or something that'll be.
It's nice though that before when we were seeing all these directors attached to this, we were going, "Oh, stop wasting your time."
Yeah, do
now
something
like,
good.
Oh, there's good names.
Yeah, whereas now it's like, oh no, they might actually be good movies. No, that's fine. Yeah, come in, directors that I like.
Now that we've seen when they give it to someone capable, we can get a good movie. It's like, yeah, give it to some of our favorites. Let them do it.
Joe, I like the idea that John's rebooted the comics with Rebirth, and he fixed that. And now we're all happy with that. I like the idea that he's now doing it with the movies. Like, no, let's fix the movies.
It just shows that when you have someone that understands what makes these characters click, it means a ton more for quality than someone that just does it because it looks cool. I think that's fandom in a nutshell, right? You want, you don't want people working on things because it looks cool. You want them because they care.
Yeah, it's got to go beyond the surface level.
Yeah,
you can have a flawed movie that gets the characters right.
Exactly.
And it's much more enjoyable.
And that's the thing. That's the thing about Snyder. I think we've said this a lot, but he is purely surface level. He is purely what makes a cool visual. He doesn't understand the characters. Now, Justice League could still be a fair bump in the road, but I do have hope that post that now, that maybe we're on to a better time.
Yeah.
So
definitely.
No, that is Wonder Woman. So thank you for staying with us through this longer than the usual review. But we were all very passionate about DC, so it was bound to be a little bit more in depth and stuff. Mm-hmm. And no doubt we've skipped over things that we could have been talking about. Like, we didn't even mention Hippolyta. Like, did we like Hippolyta? She was good.
She was fine.
Yeah, she was fine.
She served her purpose as playing mom. Like, Queen of the Amazons.
She didn't really have a lot
Martha
to do.
Hippolyta.
Well, I have a new Twitter name. Follow me at Martha Hippolyta.
Oh, god damn it, Tim. God damn it. Alright, that has been Wonder Woman. Let us know, of course, what you think of the movie in the comments below. Like, subscribe, all that stuff. helps us out. And read some Wonder Woman comics. If you
Yes.
haven't read any comics before, go out, read some Greg Ruckus stuff or whatever. Comixology, you've got a sale on right now of their digital stuff. If you want to read some comics digitally, by all means, dive in. And we do a DC Comics podcast every week called Comics from the Multiverse, which you can check out. But do all that. Get us on Twitter at mail_fuzz. And like, subscribe, all that jazz. If you want to support the channel, you can support us on Patreon at patreon.com/mailedfuzztv. There's a bunch of bonuses. We're over halfway to our first goal, so big things are coming potentially. So yeah, but that is us, guys. So thank you very much again for watching. Keep watching movies. We will see you next time.